Okay, so for this first one, part B, right? State two conclusions. State two conclusions. Though I feel like it's not really answering the question that well. So here is my suggestion. This one. Okay, the fact that as you see, yours is stating the facts, right? But this one here is inferring based on that fact. So because it doesn't maintain a same temperature, right? As the air temperature increases, the body also increases. Temperature also increases. And so the conclusion is that therefore it doesn't have homeostasis of its internal body temperature, unlike mammals we have. And so it does not regulate it. That's why this happens. That's why the observable fact happens. Okay, second conclusion. When air temperature is lowest, body temperature is lowest. Okay, this one you will not get a mark because they ask for two different conclusions. This is the same as the first one. It is talking about the exact same thing, right? It is just a subset of the first statement. So you can only maximum get 1 mark if they accept this. Okay, so the second one is that the second conclusion that I wrote here. It's like, okay, a mammal, a human, 37 degrees, right? So actually, see here, the sketcher line for the adult human should be 37. So it shouldn't draw so high, it should draw at 37, not 40 degrees. So it'll be 37 degrees. And that is because we cannot survive at too high or too low temperatures. So that's our bodies, mammals' bodies, right? They need a constant temperature. But looks like insects are okay with range of temperatures. They don't die despite having this big fluctuation, big range. So that led me to the next conclusion, which is that unlike mammals, insects can survive at a wide range of temperatures. Okay, and that further tells me, if I want to go infer even deeper, the enzymes involved in their metabolic reactions in their cells can work at a wide range of temperatures. So it wouldn't decrease the rate of reaction too much until they cannot function, until the cells cannot function. Okay, basically they can survive a wide range of temperatures. That's my second conclusion. Okay, then next one, let's look at D. So yeah, compared to mine, and I just want to point out that more latent heat is lost is correct. You don't actually have to say of vaporization, but of course it's accepted lah. You won't lose marks for this. Okay, then you say remove through conduction, convection, radiation. This is not true. Because this one, right, is a phrase, the key phrases that we use for another point, but not the sweat point. So let me show you in. Okay, here mass, MASS, response to changes in temperature. So this question is just asking about this point and not the other points. But the arterioles point, right, includes talking about these three keywords. You see that? So that's why this is misplaced. It's actually for another point, not about the sweat glands point. Okay, so now once you remove this part, you realize that, wow, my answer is quite short for 3 marks. So how do we make it worth 3 marks? You see, describe the roles of sweat glands in body temperature regulation. They didn't say when the body temperature is too hot. They just said regulation, right? So that means both when it's too hot, the sweat glands will adjust. When it's too cold, the sweat glands also adjust. Okay, so you've said when it's too hot. So to get 3 marks, I also added to say when it's too cold, what happens. Notice that for my third point, the elaboration is less because I already explained above the sweat, the latent heat part, okay? So now I'm like not really explaining in depth that much because I already had more elaboration above. So I already proved to the examiner, to the marker, I know the stuff, right? I know the content, don't need to repeat for the opposite scenario word for word. For this question, looks like it's 2 marks, right? It looks like a 2 mark there. Then homeostasis is the maintenance of a constant internal environment, right? Yeah, flip the words. And also, since it's 2 marks, let's add another part, okay? Using negative feedback. So via negative feedback. So you can see in our notes here, recently updated this some months back, okay? I added that thing via negative feedback to just give more substance to the answer to make them more willing to give us more marks. Okay, so here, this is not asking you about giving an example. They just want to know, in general, what's an endocrine gland. Okay, so you were too specific. You gave an example such as, the cells at the islets of Langerhans secrete insulin glucagon, right? All this is true, but then you see all this is too specific. So what actually is correct is ductless glands, they secrete hormones and into the bloodstream, right? So yeah, here's our definition here, okay, which is basically what I mentioned, but after removing all that extra specifics. Okay, if they say explain with an example, then yes, do this. But even if they say with an example, right, what I will do first is I'll say the normal definition, like that, general one, Then I'll add the example after that. Okay, this part, how exercise causes a fall in blood glucose concentration, is lacking in, there's a missing link, okay? The missing link is that blood glucose concentration is measuring in the bloodstream, in the blood vessels, in our capillaries, the level of blood glucose. So when you say that exercise is broken down to release energy for aerobic respiration, for muscular contractions, very good, this is 1 mark already. But this could happen in the muscles themselves, right? All this. So how would that affect the blood glucose? You see, there's the blood glucose which is in the bloodstream, and then the muscle cells are outside. And your point is happening in the muscle cells, right? So how would that affect the glucose in the bloodstream? There's no link, you see, in the answer. So we need to link it to why it would then reduce the bloodstream's glucose. And the answer to that is that glucose in the blood will diffuse from the bloodstream, from capillaries, into the muscle cells. Okay, that's the missing link. You should add that here. Or maybe at the end also can. Okay, and then this one. So that was the missing link. That glucose in the blood moves to the muscle cells. That's why it decreases what is left in the bloodstream. Next one, this question. How human body responds to cold environment temperature. This is maths, very good. However, it's a 5 mark question though. So you see how the human body responds. So it's not just describe the responses, but describe how it responds. So we have to talk about the detection of it, and then how does it even detect there's a problem, and then it responds to the problem. So the responding to the problem, which is MASS, that's our memory shortcut for that. But we also have to talk about how it even detects there is a problem. So at the front part, yes, good job. You see, you say that thermoreceptors. Okay, here's the issue, right? When we talk about MASS, the body detects that, we are too cold inside. So the internal body temperature is not detected by the thermoreceptors in the skin. The skin one just detects that how your skin feels. So if I put an ice cube on my skin, on my hand, the thermoreceptors in my skin will then tell my brain, cold, cold, cold. Skin is cold, right, on hand. So what we care about though is the blood's temperature, the internal temperature, or internal body temperature is too cold. So that is detected by thermoreceptors of the hypothalamus. Okay, so that one was missing. So you can say skin and hypothalamus for this question. You can say hypothalamus only, thermoreceptors in hypothalamus, but you cannot only say thermoreceptors in the skin. So that one, okay, this one will be penalized. You have to change this, or at least you have to add thermoreceptors in hypothalamus. Okay, so we'll detect the decrease in internal body temperature. It's not just body because that's the, near the surface of our skin, that's our body, but we can't really control that because it's very close to the external environment, right? So yeah, internal body temperature. So add that. Okay, then you'll send nerve impulses to the hypothalamus. Okay, great. Okay, I just decided to pull up the 2019 TYS answers here. So yes, this is exactly what I was talking about. And now we go on, right, to MASS. So M, metabolic rate increases, more heat energy is released. Okay, that point is incomplete. Okay, so this is what's lacking, the rate of aerobic respiration by mitochondria, and that releases more heat energy. So it's like, how is it that more heat energy was released? It's because of aerobic respiration. So that one was the missing link, okay? That's why your point was incomplete. Okay, then arterioles constrict. So as for whether I know is it dilate or constrict, I think cold constrict, right? C, cold constrict. Yes, so you're right, they constrict. Lumen arteriole becomes smaller. This is redundant. You can remove lumen of arterioles become smaller because that is what constricting means. You can remove it, okay? Then lesser blood flows through. Okay, that's good. To the blood, okay, through the blood capillaries to the skin surface. See that? So reducing to the skin surface. Because like that is the effect that matters. When there's less blood that goes near the skin surface, then less heat can be lost, right? Because our skin is like directly in contact with the cold environment. So we reduce blood that goes to that vulnerable spot, which is easy to lose heat. So that's why that's the effect intended. We're trying to reduce blood flow to the skin surface. Yeah, so don't just say reduce blood flow because you're missing out the intended effect. This is why we're doing it. Okay, then lesser heat loss by conduction, convection, radiation. Yes, this is where we put in these 3 keywords for this point, not the sweat glands point. Yeah, so sweat glands are less active, correct? Less sweat secreted above the skin or to the skin surface. Yeah, that's good. Less water from sweat evaporates. Less latent heat is lost. Good. Shivering, okay? Increase in contraction of... this is weird, okay? Say shivering occurs, rapid shivering, the rapid contraction of skeletal muscles. Yeah, that is how I would phrase it. Okay, so it's here. So I like to put it with the M point, like underneath the M point. Or even if it's not underneath, you can just move it down. So good. Then body temperature increases back to normal. Good. Yeah, so by the way, why you saw me change that, right, is because the 2023 syllabus had a hair erector muscles point. And then now 2024, yeah, it's not correct anymore. Okay, so I think we mentioned this already. It's like similar. I've gone through earlier. In an earlier question. Let me just show you what I do. Okay, so looks like, okay, yeah, so again, thermoreceptors in the skin is not relevant, okay, for maintaining internal body temperature. Remove that. It's about thermoreceptors in hypothalamus. Okay, so there was a lack of what happens after it detects. What you basically talked about is just detecting the changes, right? That is only like the first mark. So then I summarize the different effectors. The hypothalamus will send nerve impulses to these effectors. I don't go and write all the MASS stuff because it's only a 3-mark question. That's actually not, the question is not about what are the responses, right? It's talking about, tell me how the hypothalamus is important and how does it manage everyone? How does it bring together the team, right? And manage everyone. So this is what I say. And then at the end, I say the hypothalamus will also tell them to stop. Okay, job is done, stop, right? Don't keep overdoing it. So actually this, right, I have a framework for this question. It's called SRCCNS. So it's sneaky rabbits, choose carrot, non-stop. Okay, this is the negative feedback process. It's present in every single negative feedback mechanism in the body. So there's a stimulus, receptor, detects the stimulus. Control center is the hypothalamus. It's like the boss, right? The boss will rally together the corrective mechanisms and then the normal is restored. So in this question, the temperature is restored and then it stops the people from like, okay, stop, enough already. We've achieved the goal. So if you look here, right, I'm using that, see, stimulus, detected by, this is the receptor. And then who is the control center? Is the hypothalamus. Okay, then this is the corrective mechanisms. I kept it brief. Normal condition is restored, see. Then stop the corrective mechanisms. So we're actually following this framework for that question. Okay, and that's how we can get all the right keywords. Okay, look at this part A, right? Explain what's meant by homeostasis. Okay, so what I felt, right, by this question was that it's not just state or define homeostasis, it's explain. Explain means you have to give reasons, you have to give content. And then I was like, I don't think if I just state the usual answer, right, the definition, they'll give me 2 marks because of the word explain, which you correctly underlined here. So I'm more kiasu, okay? So what I do is I say my usual definition, which is this one. This one, okay? This is my usual, right? But then explain. So I think what I needed to do was explain negative feedback. So then what I did was I just put this definition of negative feedback. I put it up to here, like with my answer. Okay, so if you see this, that's what I did. I have the usual definition, but I elaborated on what negative feedback is. So that is how I would do part A. Because of the word explain, it seems more demanding than the word define or just state. Okay, then part B, right? Oh, this is too long. They ask, give an example. That's it, 1 mark, right? So you just briefly summarize the thing can already. So state what the example is and briefly summarize it to show how a hormone is involved. So look what I said here, osmoregulation, right? By the kidneys, yeah. So correct, you're talking about osmoregulation also, but I don't think you put the keyword osmoregulation. It would be nice if you put a keyword, which is, the name of the whole process. So care about kidneys maintain constant water potential in the blood. So that's like what it does. So I am showing how it's a homeostatic mechanism. And to show how it's controlled by a hormone, I said by antidiuretic hormone. Okay, ADH. Hey guys, so if that was helpful for you, then subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to join our O-level pure bio tuition classes, then click the link below or go to thatbiotutor.com.